She brought her pushy friend to our date, expecting a free meal. I told them to F off and left. I, a 27-year-old male, had met this girl, a 23-year-old female, on Bumble a few weeks ago. We got around to talking off the app for a while, and we really seemed to hit it off. However, she confided in me that she suffers from anxiety and has had some bad experiences with some exes who truly sounded awful. This is important for later. We got around to scheduling a dinner date at a restaurant I really love, and she asked me if her friend could come as well, to make her feel safe. I was a little surprised at first and thought it might make the date a bit awkward, honestly, but I told her that would be fine if it helps her feel comfortable. I'd heard about this kind of thing before anyway, so I figured it's some new thing women are doing to suss out bad dudes, so I understand where she's coming from. The problem arises once we actually get to the date. Her friend is just as dressed up as she is, and they both seem excited. So, I asked the friend directly what her plans were for this, whether she planned to just hang out, if she was ordering for herself or what. The friend starts getting a bit aggressive with me almost right off the bat, telling me that she's basically a part of the date too and expected me to pay for everyone. I had already offered to pay for me and the girl I was taking on the date, but her friend's bill wasn't ever mentioned. Now, in my head, I figure this would have been something where the friend was just there in case, but I didn't figure this would mean they'd actually be participating in the date. I straight up tell them that this isn't cool and that I wouldn't have agreed to this. I told the friend I'd even be cool if you were standing outside with a damn sword, but unless this is some sort of trio thing or a polygamous date, then this is just weird. Obviously, they left, and the date didn't end up happening. Part of me feels like I was correct in pointing out the weirdness and awkwardness this whole situation put me in, and rejecting the date altogether. But I can't help but feel like I went a bit too far, getting at them like that in a public place. Like, I should have just left without a fuss, or gone along with it and just break it off more nicely afterwards. Am I the idiot? Relevant comments. As a woman, if I want someone there to watch out, there's hanging out at the bar and acting nonchalant, not on the date. Pretty much what I expected as well, like she'd have the car running just in case I was weird or something. Not the idiot. You didn't invite the friend on the date, your date did. Even if this was genuinely for anxiety purposes, I think you dodged a bullet. It made me feel taken for a ride, honestly. I really do get the anxiety concerns. I suffer from it myself in different, more benign ways than she does, of course. Is the first date buddy thing common nowadays? I've heard of it happening before, but I've never heard of one person having to pay for the expenses of all three people. That expectation reeks of entitlement. Not the idiot. They were just trying to get free food out of you. If this was really something that had to do with anxiety and she wanted her friend there, then she should have paid for her friend or her friend should have paid on her own. But to try to get you to pay for both of them is just very entitled. Like, I know it's easy to say this in hindsight, of course, but I might have even been open to the idea of paying if it was discussed. I feel like I flew off the handle, though, calling them out in a parking lot. Story 2. This situation has caused a lot of tension between my husband and me, and now I'm questioning whether I'm being unreasonable. I, 30, female, gave birth to our first child, Olivia, 2 months ago. Being a first-time mom has been both beautiful and overwhelming. My husband, Jake, 32, male, was incredibly supportive during the pregnancy and promised that after Olivia was born, he would be there for me every step of the way, especially during those challenging first few months. Before Olivia was born, Jake and his friends had been planning a brothers-only trip for this summer. A week-long vacation to a cabin in the mountains for hiking, fishing, and bonding. When the trip was being discussed, I reminded Jake that Olivia would only be a few months old and we would be deep in the newborn phase. He reassured me that if things got too tough, he would cancel the trip to help me out, and I trusted him. Now that Olivia is here, things have been harder than I anticipated. Between the sleepless nights, breastfeeding struggles, and just trying to adjust to motherhood, I've been feeling overwhelmed. Jake has been helpful, but I can tell he's excited about this trip, which is coming up next month. Last week, I asked Jake if he could consider canceling the trip, reminding him of his promise. I told him that I'm struggling and that having him gone for a whole week would be really tough on me. He seemed surprised and a bit hurt that I was asking him to cancel. He said he's been looking forward to this trip for months and that he needs a break too. He also pointed out that his parents live nearby and could help if I needed support while he was away. I understand that Jake needs a break and wants to spend time with his friends, but I can't help feeling like this is a time when I really need him by my side. I tried to explain that while I appreciate his parents' help, it's not the same as having him here. Jake said that I'm being unfair by asking him to cancel the trip after all the planning that went into it, and that I need to trust him to make sure I'm supported even if he's not physically there. Now we're at a bit of a standoff. Some of my friends think I should let him go, saying that it's important for him to have some time away, especially after all the stress of becoming a new dad. But others agree that it's too soon for him to take off for a week and that he should prioritize being home with me and Olivia. So, am I the idiot for asking my husband to cancel his brother's only trip to help me with our newborn, after he promised he would? Some comments: you were uncomfortable for 9 months, you went through labor, you are now breastfeeding, what the hell does he need a break from? He was a giant idiot when he even planned this trip. He was a bigger idiot when he lied about canceling, and he's the giant, gaping, insanely awful idiot now that he thinks it's unreasonable for you not to want him to be gone for an entire week when you're already overwhelmed. It doesn't seem like you'd want his parents to stay for that week while he's gone. This made me furious. I hope this is his only misstep, though. I doubt it. Assuming Jake will be looking after Olivia for a week once you've stopped breastfeeding and can go away for a break, let Jake know that if he uses his parents as free childcare, it will result in a further week of rest being required. Jake seems oblivious to the struggles you are facing with your child and selfishly prioritizes his own needs over you and Olivia. Part of being a parent is sacrificing your own wants and desires for your child. Part of being a good husband is listening to your wife when she says she needs you. Frankly, he should have considered canceling it when he knew the baby would be here by the time the trip came up. Hey everyone, I just wanted to give a quick update after reading through most of the replies. I was honestly overwhelmed by the amount of support and understanding I received. Thank you so much to everyone who took the time to respond. Your kind words and thoughtful advice really helped me feel less alone in this situation. A lot of you suggested that I should also take a week off, letting Jake stay with Olivia to get a break for myself. I really appreciate the sentiment behind that suggestion, but there are a couple of reasons why it's not realistic for me right now. First of all, I'm breastfeeding, so being away from Olivia for that long would be really difficult logistically. But beyond that, and this is something I know I need to work on, I just don't feel comfortable being away from my baby yet. I know it's not healthy to feel like I can't have her out of my sight, but I can't help it. I guess it's just that new mom anxiety that's really hard to shake. I've been debating whether or not to show Jake this thread. I'm worried that reading it might hurt his feelings, but I'm definitely going to have another conversation with him about everything. I'm willing to compromise and let him go on the trip, but I think a whole week is just too much. I'm leaning towards suggesting that he limit the trip to a maximum of 3 nights, so he can still have some time away with his friends but not be gone for an entire week. I'll update again after we've talked. Thanks again for all the support, everyone. It really means a lot to me. Also, I'm new and not sure if I should be posting updates or just editing this post. Update. Hey everyone. I just wanted to share another update after having a very long and emotional talk with Jake. I won't get into every detail of our conversation, but I'll touch on the most important points. After putting Olivia to bed, I went straight to bed myself, feeling utterly exhausted. Jake was already asleep, but for some reason, the weight of everything just hit me all at once, and I started crying uncontrollably. My sobbing woke Jake up, and he immediately asked me what was wrong. I told him that I was just tired, but then I opened up about how anxious I'd been feeling about his trip and being left alone with Olivia. I admitted something I've been reluctant to say out loud, that Jake hasn't been as involved as I thought he would be. This was one of my biggest fears when we found out we were having a baby. For context, Jake has a rocky relationship with his own dad. I won't go into detail about why his dad isn't the best, but his mom, my mother-in-law, were married when Jake was in middle school, and his dad wasn't very present in his life. Jake has expressed to me before that becoming a father was scary for him because he's afraid of being a bad one, just like his dad. When he first told me that, I thought it would make him into a great father because it showed how much he cared about being a good dad, long before we were even pregnant. When I vented to him about all of this at first, he tried to defend himself. He admitted that he's been freaking out about having a baby for so long and just didn't want to tell me. He said he didn't want to stress me out while I was pregnant because he knows how much I've always wanted to be a mother. Hearing him say that made me feel guilty, like I hadn't seen how much he's been struggling internally. I had tried to convince him that he was going to be a great dad when we had this conversation long ago, and now it all felt more complicated. I thought to myself, this can't go on much longer. I realized that if he was going to keep pulling away like this, I didn't know if I could handle it. So, I asked him, is this what our life is going to look like from now on? Me with Olivia and you away. If it is, Jake, then I don't think I can continue on like this. Jake told me to calm down and assured me that he wasn't going anywhere. Then he got really emotional, he even started to tear up. He said he didn't want to turn into his dad, and that he hadn't realized that going on this trip could be a preliminary step toward becoming the absentee father he feared he might be. He apologized for not considering me and Olivia as much as he should have. Long story short, Jake called his friends and told them he wouldn't be able to make the trip. He's even started planning a little family getaway for the three of us next year when Olivia is a bit older. It was a tough conversation, but I feel like we're on the same page now, and I'm hopeful that things will get better from here. Thanks again to everyone for your support and advice. It's been an emotional roller coaster, but I'm grateful for this community helping me navigate it. Story 3. There is more to it than just the title, but this is the recent event, and I need to just yell to anyone who will listen. My wife and I have been together for about 10 years. She has struggled with her weight, self-esteem, happiness, mental stability, and other things that fall into that realm. It's fine. I accept it. I can't change it. I can only do what I can do to be positive and loving. Lately, it has gotten very bad. There was a period during 2020 that it was bad, self-slaughtering ideation bad. It's really like a jail and hide situation with her, or insert any other like metaphor. Some days there are two different people and the smallest thing will launch her into space, and there is no explaining that it is so far away from what I even meant. No, I don't think that about you, no, I absolutely did not use those words, infer that, etc. Anyway, lately this has been a struggle. She has gained back a lot of weight, and it obviously takes a daily toll on her body, feet, knees, back, energy, etc. Which she finally accepted that those problems are attributed to her being obese, ignoring what her doctor told her and only experiencing it when she lost about 80 pounds last year. In the back, feet, hip, knee problems died. She sleeps in a way I cannot tolerate for myself, blackout curtains, windows shut, zero lights, no digital clocks, night lights, etc., ceiling fan on max speed, and in the very mild winters we have, the heater on full blast as opposed to blankets or clothes. This drives me out of my mind, eyes, nose, etc. I wake up with bloody noses on the regular from it, even with a humidifier. I work a job where I am gone a few nights a week, with my own bed I can sleep in. I leave a window cracked, shades open, no fan, no heater, all the opposites of what she prefers. I sleep wonderfully usually, or at least when I'm able to sleep. I come home and it does not work, but I tolerate it because she doesn't want to see, can't, unwilling to change. She now snores loudly and rotates what seems like every 2 minutes. She decided the trend of taping her mouth shut would help. Spoiler alert. It didn't. I will not be wearing earplugs. So 3 nights ago we went to sleep, and after an hour of lying in bed wide awake, I left and went to the couch. About an hour later, she woke up looking for me and had a breakdown. She came to the conclusion that she makes me so miserable I can't even sleep in my own bed because of her. Her words, absolutely not mine. I have attempted to be positive and reassuring. I'm not placing any blame on her, even if that might be how I feel. It does no good. I told her over and over that I'm not mad, but I just can't sleep with those conditions, and the snoring is where I draw the line. She has hit a low. She came out this morning and started crying again about how she ruined my life, and how it's effing sad I'm sleeping on a couch in the house I own. It makes me sad. I have encouraged her, attempted to get her to see a therapist, doctor, dietitian, paid for a gym membership, got her a $1,900 paperweight of an exercise bike. I've tried everything, and she just won't do anything. I attempted the meal prep, cooking only healthy dinners, not indulging in snacks myself. I think what makes it worse is that I am a very physically fit person. I run quite a bit and spend time in the gym daily, so there's some amount of inadequacy she feels when comparing herself. I admit I wish she were a fit person, but that doesn't change how much I love and care for her. All of it makes me so sad. I just want to scream because I want her to be better for herself. I love her so much, and it takes a toll on me watching someone I love suffer in the way she is. Story 4. You can check through my comment history and post history. My now ex-husband and I had been separated for almost 2 years. On November 23, 2022, exactly one day after our 1-year anniversary and one night before Thanksgiving, my husband got drunk and angry. That anger turned to violence for the first time in our relationship. I set our 2-month-old son down on the bed to swaddle him, and my ex-husband grabbed me by the neck to force me to turn and look at him. I fought his hands off of me, and he told me I was overreacting. I put our son to bed in his bassinet and locked myself in the bathroom. I posted on a separate account, afraid he might see it. I wasn't sure if he knew my account name, asking what I should do. While I was responding to the numerous comments telling me to get out and get out now, he started banging on the door and screaming that he was going to slaughter me. I opened the door because I couldn't leave my son and stepson in the living room with him like that. Thankfully, my daughter was at my parents' house, about a mile away. He stepped in and punched me in the chest, specifically to hit the heart pendant on the necklace he had just given me for our anniversary. It left an imprint. He backed me into the closet, and I kept begging him to let me out and let me go. He asked me if he was worse than my exes, and I said, "Right now, yeah, you're the effing worst." In hindsight, I shouldn't have exacerbated the situation, but he punched me square in the jaw. I fell to the ground and broke the organizer drawer beneath me. He finally left and went to lay down, and basically passed out immediately. It was around 1 a.m. I was too scared to call the police myself because I didn't know what he would do if he woke up, and I didn't know if his gun was in the house or the car. I knew my parents and sister wouldn't be up, so I texted my best friend, who normally isn't up that late but I thought might be a chance. She responded and told her what happened. She called my mom, who woke my dad, which in the commotion woke my sister. My sister called the cops. My dad and Bill got there before the police and got me and the kids down to the car as they were pulling up. The cops immediately asked me about the mark on my chest. I hadn't even realized I had a mark yet. I told them where I had been hit, and they insisted I go with EMS. My father came with me, and my Bill took the kids to my parents' house. I had a CT scan to ensure my jaw wasn't fractured, and it wasn't, but it hasn't been the same since. I already had TMJ, but it was on the left side. Now the right side cracks, it's lovely. My ex went to jail, and I suddenly had a 3-year-old and a 2-month-old on my own. I had just started a new management position at work. I was hanging by a thread, but I made it. My ex spent the next almost 2 years making it as difficult as possible to get divorced, and I'm still working on getting child support. Since November 2022, he has not paid a cent for his son, who just turned 2 on October 10th. I work full-time, so for 2 years, I've paid $2,200 per month for daycare while living with my parents, just so I can try to get back on my feet with my babies. It's finally happening, though. My baby girl started kindergarten, so she's not in daycare, and my costs are cut in half. Selling my car, as my grandmother left me hers, reduces my monthly costs by another $500. My divorce is final, which means I will get less runaround from child support and finally get the money I need to help support my son. I've been putting money away for 8 years for a down payment on a home. Once I have the opportunity, I can put me and my babies in our own home. I can get my name back. I can be myself again. Thanks for everyone who read this. It's been nearly 2 years of tears and therapy and fighting and screaming and begging and trying to just get an effing divorce from the man who wanted to slaughter me. Finally, I'm free. Relevant comments. I'm glad you're free. I'm glad you have supportive family and friends. What happened to your stepson? Is he with his mother? Unfortunately, she isn't much better than his father. They were never married, so they didn't go through the court system for child support or visitation. They just agreed upon certain conditions. She has him during the week, and he has him on weekends. He is also autistic. He is the sweetest kid. He's 12 now, loves video games, and is a huge cuddler, which means he doesn't really understand personal space. He's brilliant when it comes to math and science. He can read, but he struggles to retain what he reads. I love that little boy, but I can't save him. Outside of the things I told CPS about his parents multiple times, he came to our house from his mom's with bruises. My ex couldn't handle the fact that his son wasn't perfect, so anytime he acted in a way that wasn't normal or couldn't figure something out, he would strike him in the face. I didn't feel I could say anything because he wasn't my child, but I tried my best to give him love. I told CPS about this behavior, but nothing was done. My whole family loves that boy and would take him in. I hate the situation I've left him in.